It's Thanksgiving time again, and I'd like to say thank you to all of you who have been watching these videos so faithfully. You can show your appreciation by clicking on the like symbol, because the more you like these videos, the more likely it is that other viewers will find them too. So thank you again for all your support. Just like last Thanksgiving, our topic for this holiday is Captain Kangaroo. For a multitude of reasons, we can associate Captain Kangaroo with Thanksgiving. If you haven't already watched that video, please be sure and check it out. Hopefully it'll give you a good warm Thanksgiving feeling. Because if there's one thing that we can count on the captain for, it's the warm fuzzies, as he invited his television audiences into his treasure house starting in 1955 and for the next 30 years, making Captain Kangaroo one of the longest running television shows in network TV history. But being a morning show on CBS meant that at a certain time of the year, Captain's show was the perfect introduction to CBS's coverage of the Thanksgiving Day parades, including that most famous of Thanksgiving parades, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Now, even though NBC has been the official broadcaster of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade since 1953, it was actually CBS that first carried that famous parade in 1948, which was the beginning of network TV broadcasting. Starting in 1959, CBS began what is called the All-American Thanksgiving Day Parade Jubilee, which ran well into the 1980s. And Captain Kangaroo was the MC for those broadcasts through 1965. So he's become, certainly in the minds of some, forever associated with the Thanksgiving Day parades. Now, as the title might imply, CBS covered a lot more than the Macy's parade. For instance, in that 1959 broadcast, CBS covered 4 different parades from different locales. Aside from the Macy's parade in New York City, there was the Gimbel's Thanksgiving Day Parade from Philadelphia, the J.L. Hudson Parade from Detroit, and the Eaton Santa Claus Parade from Toronto, Canada. So the Thanksgiving Day parades that CBS was going to cover were celebrated by Captain really all week long, with some stories on how the preparations were done in the case of the Macy's parade, the filling of the giant balloons, and other noteworthy aspects. Then, on Thanksgiving morning, Captain would be celebrating Thanksgiving, and his show would flow seamlessly into the parade coverage. This was done by having Captain and his co-stars, Mr. Green Jeans, Mr. Moose, and Bunny Rabbit, sitting down in front of a gigantic monitor so that they could watch all the parades just as you were watching at home. And the CBS coverage would cut to the different hosts and the different reporters, and the coverage would often cut back to the Captain Kangaroo characters watching the parade. And that giant TV monitor was called by the captain the Magic Picture Window Screen. Even after Thanksgiving of 1965, which was the captain's last time being involved in the actual coverage, he would still, of course, be celebrating Thanksgiving, and that would include promoting the parade and him urging viewers to stay tuned for the parade coverage immediately following Captain Kangaroo. So if you're a fan of Captain Kangaroo, one thing you can be thankful for is the great multitude of merchandise that was created to tie in with the show. Certainly covered some of that Captain Kangaroo memorabilia in the previous video, including this record album, which is wonderful because it shows kind of a facsimile of the treasure house and all the characters, and Captain being very welcoming, as he certainly was on Thanksgiving Day. But in today's video, I'm going to focus on publications. Now, this first book is from a later era of Captain Kangaroo. It's after what I call the classic era, the best version of the treasure house, when Captain was wearing this dark blue uniform. He started wearing a red blazer, and the treasure house became the captain's place, which was this very stylized minimalist set. And this book was from 1976, so that is from that era, and here's Captain in his red blazer. But we still have the classic characters, Mr. Moose, Bunny Rabbit, Mr. Green Jeans, and Grandfather Clock. And Debbie Weems, who was a wonderful addition to the cast. At some point, the producers decided to add a female character because up until then, almost all the characters, including the puppets, were male characters. And she was a wonderfully talented addition to the show. And this, in a very 70s way, is called the Whole World Catalog. And the Whole World Catalog idea was popular in the 1970s, trying to incorporate everything, including the environment. And this wonderful introduction by Captain Kangaroo, there's his signature, and that's, of course, not an actual signature, but it's authentic. It says, between the covers of this Captain Kangaroo Whole World catalog, there is indeed a world of fun and information. But if your special child is very young, he will need help in exploring that world. This book has been carefully designed to bring child and parent together in a mutually rewarding adventure of shared experiences. Now, this very much reflected the show, of course, where Captain was speaking to the child, or the young person, as he always said, and also was encouraging the involvement of parents as well. He would sometimes speak to mother and dad and ask them to be involved with some of the activities and crafts and so forth that he was presenting. But that was the whole approach of the show. And it also brings up the point that Bob Keeshan had really harnessed something early on, the very few people did, so successfully, which was the intimacy of television. So much of the show was Captain simply speaking to the camera. And the camera, of course, was the child. So even though the audience was in the millions, Captain Kangaroo was not speaking to a vast audience. He was speaking to one person, one individual viewer, you. And there was so much of that intimacy throughout the show. It was really built in and emphasized. So be sure and stay tuned to the end of this video, where we'll see a special goodbye from Captain Kangaroo that will help us feel even more Thanksgiving for this remarkable show. Anyhow, there are things to build, like this train, some information about trains, and songs, puzzles, making musical instruments out of paper towel rolls and objects like that. Stories. This one is Why Bunny Rabbits Eat Carrots. Jokes, masks that you can make out of paper plates. And at the end we have the puppet characters. It's kind of whimsical drawings by Judith Hoffman Corwin that reflected the animated opening of the TV show at that time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Captain. Won't you come on out and play? Wake up the sunshine and share this friendly day. Good morning, Captain. It's a smiling song we sing, 'cause we're happy to see you and the good times that you bring. Everybody sing. Hey, good morning. Hello, how you do? Good morning, Captain. Good morning, Captain. Good morning, Captain. Good morning. Wake up the sunshine. Share this friendly day.
Now, when we say books, I'm also going to include comic books. There were several issues of Captain Kangaroo comic book, and we'll see the wonderful photo on the cover, in color, of course, even though the show at that time was in black and white. On the back, a one-page story, and inside several stories, some of which were sort of fairy tale adaptations, nursery rhyme adaptations. The first story is called A Most Unhappy Burro, which is about this little burro that Captain tries to help. This issue is from 1957, and here you can see Captain with his giant kangaroo-like pockets, that's where he gets his name, of course, just stuffed with all kinds of toys, a teddy bear, all kinds of things, because that was the original idea, is that he would pull special treasures out of those giant pockets. And here in the front, also quite wonderful, we have photos. Want to have fun? Asks Captain Kangaroo. Then let yourself go. Now, as we've talked about so many times in these videos, Western Publishing was the overall publisher of so many different kinds of books, including this comic book. Captain Kangaroo was one of their licenses, so of course there were Little Golden books, Telltale books, many others from their line. There was also this one, which I don't know that Western Publishing published that many of this line, but this is called the Story Hour series, and it's published under the Whitman imprint. They have this wonderful logo. This is one of the Captain Kangaroo books, and it's called Captain Kangaroo's Super Secret. So in this story, the other characters are preparing a birthday party for him. And it always strikes me as so funny that when they show Mr. Moose, he's shown full size as opposed to behind the desk or in a window or whatever, and complete with a costume. Somehow didn't really reflect what you saw in the show, but it's still fun and very creative. There were so many types of books put out under the Whitman imprint. Coloring books, activity books, punch-out books, all kinds of activities and fun. There was also sticker fun books, push out and stick. And here we have this one from 1958. Again, Mr. Moose is a very realistic looking moose. Captain at the door of the treasure house. This copy that I have of the sticker book, the stickers have been punched out for the most part and put in place. And this first page is really fun because it says the captain's name is spelled on blocks. And that was the Captain Kangaroo logo for so many years. So it's kind of fun to see that. And again, we have his giant pockets with toys inside. The treasure house. Here's a lot of stickers that have not been punched out. Here we have Grandfather Clock, who is really a favorite of mine. A very creative puppet, one of the best puppets ever. As you know, it's essentially a grandfather clock that talks, and some more stickers that have not been punched out. Please note the CBS Television Network logo, the famous CBSI. And don't forget, when you see Captain, up until the era he's in his red blazer, you can see the CBSI in the form of his cufflinks. Now this sticker fun book, Press Out and Stick, is from 1959. This one must have been very successful because Whitman issued another brand new sticker fun book. This time on the cover we see Captain in the garden with Bunny Rabbit. Inside, lots of views of the treasure house, Mr. Green Jeans and Captain Kangaroo using their imaginations with a variety of hats. There we are in the not too often seen barn, which of course was Mr. Green Jeans' domain. And the original concept of the show, where these characters came from, is that Bob Keeshan and his creative staff had decided that the best approach would be to have a Mr. Indoors and a Mr. Outdoors. So Captain, of course, was Mr. Indoors in the treasure house. Mr. Green Jeans was Mr. Outdoors, and then puppets on the back, including Phoebe, who actually had a puppy later on, and that was called BB. And those big shaggy dogs were a staple of the show for a few years. Now, here we have an interesting anomaly. First of all, we have the updated Whitman logo, which came about in 1970. And this new sticker fun book, Press Out, Stick On, Color, because coloring was a part of it too. But at any rate, this was created in 1971. And I guess it was just before the introduction of the Captain's Place, because this is still the treasure house. Captain Kangaroo still in his dark blue uniform. But it really didn't matter because so much of this merchandise was reissued year after year, even after the whole look of the show changed. And here we have Bunny Rabbit speaking, "Hi there, Captain Kangaroo." And of course the character does not speak. So who knows what they were thinking with that. On the back, make your own dancing bear. And this is kind of a string puppet that you could put together. Luckily for us, whoever owned this sticker fun book did not cut it out because it's still here for us to see. So this is really fun, but I especially wanted to show you the last page here. Here's this little family of characters saying goodbye to you at the door of the treasure house, but they're saying, come back and visit us again. And it really emphasizes the friendliness, the welcoming, and as I said, the intimacy of the show, which made it perfect for Thanksgiving. And especially since it was on 5 days a week, so it was always on Thanksgiving Day. But in the treasure house, every day was Thanksgiving Day because all the characters, especially Captain, were very welcoming. And a lot of children, who are now, of course, grown up, would speak of feeling safe and welcome as they entered the make-believe world of Captain Kangaroo. Thanks to this wonderful show, the welcoming atmosphere, the comfortable security that the producers worked so hard to establish and maintain, and especially Bob Keeshan, who again had that wonderful knack for speaking not to a camera, but to you. He had a ritual of every day saying goodbye and reminding us of some important values. So as we see one of these classic goodbyes from Captain Kangaroo, let's keep in mind these values as we celebrate Thanksgiving Day.
So have a pleasant day, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow in the treasure house. Enjoy your friends today. One nice way to make it pleasant for them and for you is to be kind to them. Go out of your way to be nice to everyone today, all right? Okay. Share what you have to share with others, and do remember your prayers.